When I was 18 years old, I got into my first serious romantic adult relationship with a guy that would effectively change my life for the better. I think we both learned a lot from each other, but I remember something that he said to me in the early days of our relationship that actually stuck with me throughout our entire relationship, which lasted about 5 years. About 3 weeks after we started officially dating, we were talking about how I was going to go home and meet his parents for the first time. And he said to me, I shit you not, I'm nervous about bringing you home to my family because they're used to me dating model type girls. Okay. Now, insert photo of me at age 18. I don't know what part about being 100 pounds soaking wet doesn't necessarily just scream 2015 Vogue model, but body dysmorphia and additional struggles aside, it did impact our relationship. And I remember this to this day. I'm 28 years old now. This was a decade ago. I still think about it all the time. And I think to some degree, it not only affected my own self-perception and the way that I look at myself, but it also really affected our relationship. It's just got me thinking about, like, what are the things that we say to each other in relationships with romantic partners that actually end up having a negative effect on the relationship as a whole? How much of the things that we say in anger or out of ego actually stick with the other person enough to effectively change their perception on themselves, life, the world, society, the relationship? I did carry this around when he said that throughout our entire time together. And I think it actually is a part of what led to the ultimate failure of that relationship for me. Obviously, we have to understand that at 18 years old, in the first serious adult relationship I ever had, I didn't have the skills or the experiences to move past something like that and recognize that it's not really about me. Realistically, as I am now looking back on that, I would have left. The person I am now would have heard that and said, okay, well, then you can go and find a model type girl by your definition. And I am going to go be me somewhere else. But I didn't. I stayed with him. And throughout the duration of our 5-year relationship, there was so much resentment that, looking back, it came from me. It was me that was projecting this hurt and this anger because of that one thing. But the things that you say in relationships can impact the other person so drastically that it shapes the rest of their relationships for the rest of their lives in some regards, until that person is ready to do the inner work. I've recently done a lot of inner work, and that's one of the things that has come up for me. And in my more abusive relationship, in my mid-20s, after I had long since moved on from this first serious relationship, I remember trying so hard to find myself through creation and content. And I think it's best to preface this next one by saying that I don't really blame this person for saying the things that he did throughout our relationship, because overall he wasn't a healed individual. And that's okay. You know, people are at where they're at. Obviously, it's not okay to bully the person you're in a relationship with. It's not okay to abuse. It's not okay to intentionally trigger. But it's important to realize that some people have such deep wounds that maybe they will never really heal. And he's one of those people. He actually reaches out to me on the dot about once a year from some different Instagram account to DM me on Instagram and let it rip about how awful I am and about how I'll never succeed. I see that now as an unhealed person projecting, but for a while it really bothered me. But the thing that he said to me in that relationship that really dramatically affected me in a different way than maybe the first, when I was really working on my YouTube, at the time on my other channel, I was making videos that ended up getting 80,000 views. And he said, why don't you just get a real job? You're never going to make it as a content creator. I don't know why he said this, because I wasn't failing. I was doing okay. Sorry, I'm not crying. I have a cold. Oh my god. But if I wanted to cry for dramatic effect, I could definitely make it look like I was. Just kidding. Authenticity is important. I wasn't failing at being a content creator. And looking back, I think he was maybe projecting some of his own feelings of inadequacy. And throughout that entire relationship, he really did do that thing that, men do when they're feeling a little out of place, where they try to dim your light so that they can shine at all. And it did impact me in the middle of making videos that were getting 80,000 to 100K plus views on every one. I quit and I stopped showing up for my audience, and I stopped showing up for people that needed me. I was making videos on a really sensitive topic in women's health that I've suffered from, and not a lot of people were talking about it. And people were just coming to me for advice. And I have a little bit of regret because I feel like I should have been there for those people regardless of what I was going through. That relationship did not end well. It was probably the messiest breakup I've ever had. And that leads me into the third relationship. And in this one, I don't only want to talk about something that he said to me. I want to talk about what I said to him. Because I feel like, looking back, after processing all of this stuff, after spending a lot of time single, before I really even started opening myself up to dating again at all, before I found my current partner, true love, the love of my life, This one's the keeper. I know that. I think that the reason that I said this to him was because I entered this third relationship with all that trauma from the previous two relationships that were pretty close together. I hadn't healed any of it, and I was subconsciously projecting onto everyone around me. I told him maybe 2 months in that I was always going to be more successful than him, that I was always going to be better than him, richer than him, braver than him. This is Accountability Central. We're honest in this community. That's something I want to make very clear right away. Accountability and honesty are probably the most important things that you can do as a person to ensure the success of a healthy relationship. And I'm leading by example in every way. I look back at that now, and I was living in such a state of panicked, guarded imbalance. I was living entirely in my masculine. I was not interested at all in surrendering to having a protector. I didn't trust that it was possible. It was like, you can't kill me if I kill you first. That is what that felt like. And it felt really good at the time. It did. But it affected our relationship in every possible way. And even at the end of it all, years later, when we finally cut ties for good, he reminded me that I had said that. And I know that that relationship wasn't meant to last, looking back. So I won't say, I ruined the most perfect thing I ever had. No. But I hurt somebody so deeply that it affected the way they saw the world, the way they saw me, the way they saw our relationship. And somewhere around the second year of that relationship, he said something to me that stuck. I was setting up all of my lights and camera and background stuff to make a YouTube video. And he had all this art stuff all over the place everywhere because he was an artist. He was going to art school and he was very talented. I just had to throw that in there because he really was. The whole place was set up like, art paradise, right? And it was great for creative energy. I was setting up all of my stuff to make a video, and he came in all frustrated for some reason. I mean, he must have had a bad day, but he goes, "God, your stuff is just everywhere. This isn't a studio." In like the harshest way possible. And I was like, yes, the fuck it is. Like, this is literally a studio. That's like what we do here. Later, he apologized for that. It was probably one of the few things that he ever took upon himself to apologize for without me saying that it hurt my feelings first. Because I think he just realized how ridiculous it sounded. But I kept that deep down. And I think that from that past relationship conflict about me never being good at content, I think I took that as, wow, this person does not support or believe in my potential to do this thing that I so deeply feel called to do. It was like having a part of my soul chipped off. And honestly, I mean, compared to what I had said to him at the beginning of the relationship, if we want to play comparisons here, I deserved that and it wasn't that bad. I just think, bringing this to a close, it is so important to recognize how you project things that you've experienced that have nothing to do with your relationship onto your partner. I think it's important to heal from past relationship traumas as much as possible before allowing another person into your space. Because your relationships will ultimately fail over and over again until you culture a level of self-awareness to where those triggers are no longer subconscious. They're conscious. You can perceive them. You know why you're triggered, where it comes from, and you know that it's not about the current person you're with. Now, that's not to say that you have to be fully, all of your triggers are gone. You're never triggered anymore at all. These things, it's like they never happened. No, they happened, and they will continue to affect your relationships for the rest of your life. It's just, we get to decide based on our degree of healing, how do they affect our relationships? And are we going to continue to, you're going to hear me say this on this channel a lot, and it's so stupid, I know. If you get the reference, leave a comment, to run from it or learn from it. And with that, I conclude this video. I hope you got some value out of it. Join the discussion in the comments below. Let me know what some people have said to you in past relationships, if you want to share, and how they affected you, so that we can all learn how this works. And I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.